share tips, insight, tools and stories from other changemakers designed to motivate you to become the change you want to see in your world. Make sure you join our Changemakers community at runamagnus.com/podcast. And now it is time for you to sit back, relax and enjoy.
Welcome everyone that are with us today or tonight to this very special webinar Facebook Live event that I'm setting up. Now, many of you have been asking me what I've been up to lately, and I think it's about time that I get out of my closet and tell you a little bit of what I've been up to and what you can expect from me in the near future. So what have I been up to? Well, truth to be told, I've been building up my courage to step up my own game. And why do I feel I need to step up my own game? You might be asking. Well, I wholeheartedly believe that this world is really shouting for different type of leadership. Not only in politics, I'm talking about I think the world is really screaming for leaders who can make a positive difference and want to make a positive difference in the world. Leaders who want to become the change, whether it's run their own teams, business, organizations, community, or even a nation. And I know there are people out there who want to make that difference. And I know there are people that are already doing that. I happen to know also that if you are in that position that you really want to make a difference, you want to step up your own game and stand out from the crowd, chances are, if you don't have a good support team around you, you are not going to be able to make it. And that is the thing. That's the thing that is behind the thing that I'm doing right now. I decided to do something about this. I decided to collectively tap into people in my own network, people that are world-class trainers and leaders and transformational leaders. And they have all different types of tools and skills in their toolbox that I know can help those leaders that want to make a difference and positive change in this world. So that's why I pulled together a group of people and together we call ourselves the Changemakers. And we are here to help other changemakers to catapult the change that they want to see in their world. And that's just what we've done. So in the next couple of weeks, probably more than that, probably within the next maybe month or so, I'm going to be introducing some of my team members. And I'm so honored to start tonight with the introduction to a fabulous woman, someone who really captured my heart the moment I started to talk with her a couple of years ago. She is Margareta Kull. She's the CEO and creator of Courageous Leadership Concept at Kull Leadership Corporation in Sweden. Now, Margareta and her team, they've been working internationally for the past 13 years in large organizations to help their teams both develop the leaders as a management team, as well as mixed groups of managers. And this is what they've been doing, as I said, for the past 13 years. And the concept is the courageous leader. Now, as I just shared with you, I've just pulled up my confidence and my courageous part in myself to do what I want to do. I just had to get Margareta with me on this live Facebook event. So I want to start off by saying, welcome, Margareta. I'm so pleased that you were willing to come and be with me tonight. I'm thrilled. I want to start off immediately by simply asking you, what is really a courageous leader?
A courageous leader is, first of all, it's a leader. That's number one. And that's something that we don't always define, but we define it as someone who is showing the way so that others choose to follow. So that means that it's not always a manager. It can be anybody. It's someone who shows the way so that others choose to follow. So that's number one. You need to be a leader first. And then in order to be a courageous leader, you are someone who is the leader you truly want to be. That means that you're making the decisions you truly want to make. And it's something that I think sometimes, or for many people, it sounds really simple. You know, if you ask someone, are you a courageous leader? Many of us, I think, would just say, yeah. You know, you think for a couple of seconds and then you think, yeah, you know, I'm the leader I truly want to be. I don't think it's as simple as that, unfortunately. Because I think it's very easy that we don't to 100% know what our decisions are based on. Could it be maybe that your decisions are based on fear without you knowing about it? Then you're not being courageous.
So that is interesting. So if you are a leader, so you've stepped up, you are leading a concept or you're leading an organization or whatever you're leading, but if you know, the opposite of being courageous, is that then being a fearful one? Or do I understand you correctly?
Yeah, definitely. That is the opposite. And we don't always know about our fears. I mean, so many people are saying they're not scared. And I believe we're all scared.
Yeah.
So the fears run in our subconscious. But they are there and they affect our behavior and our decisions without us knowing about it. So the key is to stay curious.
And this is where probably, or what I'm envisioning when you're saying this, the real difference between being a leader and then being that courageous leader, then you are a leader that you are more aware of your own ability to lead, is that, and you have given yourself the authority to lead, or is that the fear that is on?
Well, what you need to do in order to be a courageous leader is keep an eye on both the people around you that you lead, and at the same time always keep an eye on yourself, on your own reactions. So you need to stay curious on both those dimensions. See, what is that behavior based on? So you, as a courageous leader, you're definitely always prepared to look at yourself with warmth and sense of humor or whatever. All these tools that we have, you need to use. So in order to make sure you're actually not being run by your fears, because it's so easy for that to happen to all of us. Yeah. Because it's not, it could be the biggest sign of that happening is, of course, that you feel uncomfortable. But I think also there are also moments, situations where you don't even feel uncomfortable. And I think if you walk into a management team, it's not the first thing you ask. It's not, what are you scared of? No. You wouldn't get the openness you want to get. Yeah. And there are so many people out there who are both relieved when we talk about fears, because they feel, I thought I was the only one, sitting here holding back or whatever. And then there are other people who are in denial and thinking, well, I'm not scared. I always say what I think, for example. That's something we could hear.
Yeah. And what happens then when they see that's actually just a front layer that they've put themselves in front of them? What is their reactions when they understand that they're not quite there?
That they're quite there. Well, it's so important in all training, all trainers, and I think most of the people watching this will know this as well, that we can get so far with people just by being human, just by sharing that this is not something, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just here as a tool, and I'm opening up myself, and I'm warm, and I'm just sharing that this is something that we all have.
Yeah. And isn't that exactly the amazing thing about when you're authentic and when you are just yourself, how powerful that is. When you even admit that you are maybe not that courageous.
So true. It's so true. It just creates connection immediately when I, or me or one of the other trainers are just saying that this is something that we were struggling with. Yeah. You were opening up this webinar, we're talking about the technique and all of that. I was thinking, we're courageous. You're definitely being creative, bringing this together. And I'm being creative because I feel uncomfortable. This is the first live Facebook webinar for me, live. I've done other webinars, but not live. But it's always, when it comes to courage, it's all about, seeing those fears, being aware of them, and then thinking, well, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? What's best for the world? What's best for this situation? What's best for the organization? And then do that, and not base your decisions and your behavior on your own comfort.
Yeah.
Being courageous is about being outside of the comfort zone, because not much development happens within the comfort zone. Unfortunately, that would be very nice.
No,
but it doesn't.
No, not at all. And then there's one question when you're saying, when you talk about courageous leaders, the one question that pops up in my mind, and that has to do with culture. Now, I know that you've been working internationally with leaders, both, like you said, management teams as well as mixed teams. Is it a difference? And if it is a difference between cultures when it comes to that finding your courage and stepping into your courage?
That's really interesting, because I've had people ask me that once in a while. Mm-hmm. And also people from other cultures ask me that. We're sitting at dinner and after, 1 or 2 days together or so, and they're saying, can you really do this type of training anywhere? Mm. And of course I can't say yes to that, because I haven't been anywhere. I haven't been everywhere. But the thing is, what I usually say to them when they start to get, hesitant, I guess. Yes, or whatever, curious. And I say, so what part is it that I wouldn't be able to do anywhere? Mm. So I can ask them, what is it? And then they realize, no, there is nothing. Because what we do is we base our work on human needs and human fears. And it's originally from an American psychologist called Will Schutz. Mm. And he is then talking about 3 main needs that human beings have. And unfortunately, then we have 3 main fears connected to those needs, and that they are independent on culture. So, and I'm sure it would surprise me if you didn't agree with me that we all around the world have the need of feeling significant, and the need of feeling competent, and the need of feeling liked. And why? Because they're very, very, very closely connected to our possibility of survival. So they're very deep need. And then connected to those, then we have the fears of feeling insignificant, incompetent, and not liked. Uh-huh. So they've been through evolution with us. That's why I don't believe there is a fearless person on this planet. It's nothing, it's not like you can't say, well, I worked on those fears last year. I was in therapy and I got rid of those fears. Well, I wish that was the case. But
no longer fears. That's not going to be the case. This is like something that you're constantly working on.
Yeah. Definitely. And all you can do really is to keep an eye on them and then know what's happening and then move on instead of run away from them. And so, and then also when they ask me, can you do this in any type of culture? It's also the case that in our training, we don't tell people what to do or not to do. Uh-huh. Because saying is that a courageous leader is the leader that he or she truly wants to be. Mm-hmm. So it's about them. It's about us going inside deep in reflection and getting in touch with what's really best for this situation at this moment. And what am I scared of? And how am I then going to make sure that I actually lead the way that is best for the situation and not based on my own comfort, which unfortunately many people do. It's not what they want to do, but they don't know anything else. So I'm not blaming people who are doing that. It's just that they're unaware.
So awareness is really the key there.
Awareness is definitely the key. And before you become aware, you need to be curious. So you need to decide to be curious on yourself. And then your awareness will increase.
So going from there and into, when we're not courageous, what does that look like? I mean, can you give me an example of organizations or places where people are not showing?
Yeah, I can give you an example. Let me first say that if we then look at the main fears, which are then our fear of feeling incompetent and not liked. What we tend to do when we get in touch with those feelings where we feel really uncomfortable, what we do is that we move into our defenses. Uh-huh. And there are different ways of grouping defenses. One way is to say that there are 6 key defenses, which I'm sure many people would recognize. There is, of course, our loved victim. Well, I don't know how many leaders we've met in the training over the years who said, how are we going to lead victims? Okay, so we have the victim, we have the critic, we have the wonderful denier, we have the demander, the self-blamer, and the helper. And all these we all have. It's not like I can say, well, I'm not a critic, or I'm not that, or I'm just that. They are there, and we definitely have our favorites, that's for sure. And I don't know if we have, should I give an example when it comes to defense, or does that take too much time? If we look at the beautiful victim, for example, I have a victim, definitely. The motto of the victim is poor me. I feel so sorry for myself. So what can happen is that when we meet a challenge and we get scared, for example, we get in touch with feeling incompetent. How on earth am I going to get past this? This is too big for me. And remember now, subconsciously. So it's not like, I bring this up to my brain. I think, I don't know how to deal with this, so I move into victim. No, that's not how it works. I just subconsciously become a victim. So the victim feels sorry for herself, let's say herself, and gets attention that way. Not only does she do that, but what she actually does is puts the blame on someone else without people noticing.
Yeah.
So that means you don't grow. You don't feel accountable. You just sit there and wait for someone else to do it. And that, of course, that affects our organizations and our planet. Yeah. So it's important to know. I mean, since I have it as well, I need to keep an eye on that, knowing that, why do I feel low? Well, maybe it's because I'm avoiding something I shouldn't be avoiding.
True.
I need to face it.
True. Yeah.
And a critic, of course, if we then look at, if you ask me to give an example what it's like when we're not courageous, well, a critic is, the motto of the critic is, I know better than you.
Ooh,
can be pretty nasty.
That reminds me of some of the world leaders that we're dealing with today.
Exactly. So we have 2 world leaders.
Yeah.
One in the US, one in North Korea. I am pretty certain they both have been triggered on the fear of feeling insignificant. It's amazing to see it. Because it's become so obvious that it's not a fact. It's a feeling, because they are fairly significant. And of course it could be incompetence as well. Something has happened in both of them.
Yeah.
And they have also both chosen the defense of the critic. So they are sitting on each side of the water, thinking of pushing the button.
Yeah.
Talk about non-courageous leadership. Let's talk about how fears affect the world we're living in and the impact that these 2 men can have on the world. And of course, we've got it in Europe as well, where we're talking about the inclusion issue and with the immigrant situation and all of that. It's a lot to do about significance, and that's also connected to inclusion.
Yeah.
Of course, so that's what it looks like when we talk about planet and world politics.
Yeah.
And if you look at it in an organization, it can be, I don't know how many management teams we've met where you see that members of the team are really feeling accountable, acting in a very accountable way when it comes to the business area that they are in charge of. However, it's not that common that you see them being as accountable for the purpose and the goal of the whole team. That's also where the fears of feeling insignificant and incompetent and all of that come into the picture, and they suddenly put the blame or whatever, lean back and ask the leader of that team to solve it. So you see it in many different perspectives.
Exactly. So, and we've talked about the world and what we're facing, and then into organizations and how this looks like in organizations. Even stronger now, how vitally important it is to help leaders to find their courage and step up. And that's why you're part of my team as the change makers, to be a group of people that can hold those leaders to help their back so that they can basically move on. So I can see that we're coming closer to the time that we were going to have, but I could probably ask you questions till midnight my time, and it will be way past your bedtime. But then I have one final question before, and that is really, would you consider yourself to be a courageous leader? Are you?
Am I? Well, I'm thinking I am definitely prepared to look at myself, to constantly stay curious on my own behavior and my own fears. And I ask myself then, what's the best for this situation? Who do I want to be is a key question. Who do I want to be, really? And I must say, I don't must anything, but I want to say, I do that very, very often. And that is, of course, being a courageous leader. At the same time, I don't believe you can be a courageous leader all the time. It's like, I've got to be courageous. I've got to be courageous. No, so it's you need to be kind to yourself. So I'd say it's a constant journey. And I think when you were just talking now, I was reminded that I think it's not only the planet that is crying for courage, because it's in the courage that we create change.
Yeah.
I think it's us as human beings. I meet so many people and leaders.
Yeah.
And so many of us feel once in a while, and more often sometimes, that we're in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
That the fear is just holding us. I mean, you talk about it with me, and I talk about it with you.
Yeah.
We all have it, and it's so beautiful when people blossom and grow, and that's how we create our beautiful organizations and also the beautiful planet, I think.
Yeah.
So it's all connected. It starts with the soul, and then it moves out to other people in the smaller context, and then in a larger context.
Yeah. So really allowing yourself to be who you really are, be aware of who you are and who you want to become, and step in using tools like what you've been creating and what you've been using for the past 13 years to help leaders to really catapult their change by stepping up into the courage. Those are the steps that you can basically, these are one of the steps that you can basically tap into, so that you can be more aware that the more you learn about yourself, the more you are aware of that you're just a human being like the next person beside you, and you allow yourself as well as others to be who they are, then we're talking about something that is really different.
So true. So true. And then adding tools when it comes to leading. How do I lead others?
Yeah.
How come other people choose to follow or not to follow, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
We can do that. We want to do it. It's beautiful to see people grow and change the environment around us.
Yeah. And I think from that angle, I think we're on time. I see that the people have been coming up with some questions, and Christina Coutier is talking about it starts with the soul indeed. And we have people saying, Marius is saying hi there. There are lots of people that have been sharing the videos we're in here. So thank you people for doing that. And if you think this is of value, please feel free to share this video to your network, as we believe that the more people become more aware of their own abilities to lead, the better the world is that we are all living in. I'm going to share in Facebook, I'm going to share your website, Margareta, so that people can go there and see that. I'm also going to let people know that
the .com website.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yep. Of course. Yeah, that's the one with English. And of course, for anyone that wants to really be with us on this game, become a change maker with the change makers. I highly recommend that you go and check the website runamagnus.com right now. I haven't really opened up the website for the new concept, but there is a link there that you can sign up so that we will be notified with anything that is happening. And I believe me anyway. I and the change makers are definitely going to do something that is going to be remarkable. So thank you, Leslie, for your comment. She believes that Margareta's view on courageous leadership, she loves that. So we have beautiful comments over there. Yeah, exactly. I'm sharing your website, and then go to runamagnus.com and feel free. Share the love. That's what we want.
Share the love and the courage.
And the courage, and together we can do it. Margareta, I want to thank you for your time. It's been lovely, and can't wait to learn more from you in the time to come. It's going to be bless from me over here in Iceland. Margareta, anything you want to say in the end?
No, I just want to say thank you to you, Runa, for a beautiful initiative, a wise initiative, and a courageous initiative. And also thank you to everybody watching. And I don't say good luck with the courage out there, because it doesn't have anything to do with luck. It's about doing it or not doing it. So I want to say, please choose courage for all of us.
If so, feel free to share the love and give us your generous review on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify. And remember, you can always go to runamagnus.com and find out more about the Changemakers and how we can help you driving the change you want to see in your world.